Hey, Cure fans out there, it's Gavin and welcome to the Holy Hour podcast and the final tour updates episode. But this one kind of stretches on long enough where we're going to make it a real episode too. Lots to cover in this episode. We talked to our old friend John about the Leeds show, and I give you the rundown of Birmingham where all this crazy shit went down. And then we talk about the Cardiff show too, leading up to the final 3 nights of Wembley, which will be covered in the next episode. But before we begin, Patreon, I gotta give a shout out to these guys. They are just too awesome. Donna, Craig, Jeff Hilton, Jeff Cortland, Jones, Sue, Ben, John, Allison, Alan, Dione, Namicio, Danny, Coulter, Matt Ford, Tom, and we welcome our newest Patreon, Hector. Happy to have you on board, Hector. I sent you an email. Let me know if you prefer a tangible real CD mix or a digital Dropbox link, man. See, that's the kind of cool questions you get asked when you join our Patreon. So go on over to patreon.com/The Holy Hour Podcast and join the party. Dana is also part of the club, and she's a motion designer and animator, and you should totally check out her work at graphics.tv. That's graphics with a X. And Scott is the coolest goddamn podcaster in the galaxy as far as I'm concerned, because he's part of the Sarlacc Digest. That's an all Star Wars podcast, and you can watch it and listen to it on their live shows every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube, or get the replays everywhere you listen to podcasts. Lisa is trying real hard to make you cooler by letting you know about the coolest venue in Calgary, Canada, and possibly beyond. It's Dickens, and you should check out dickensyyc.com, and you'll know all about the upcoming shows and events, including this year's New Year's Eve Hang the DJ Dance Celebration. Sounds like a perfect way to ring in the new year. And donating blood, well, that's a year-round cool thing to do. Matt suggests you check out the Red Cross Blood Donor app. It's an easy way to schedule appointments and donate and help out no matter what little shitty town you live in. The Red Cross Blood Donor app will find a good place for you to donate. And of course, our friend Kate at CureThreads.com wanted us to get the word out about a Cure fan art challenge that she and some other creative people are working on. And it's not too late to join this project. Hashtag Artist of a Lost World. It's like Inktober or her recent challenge of Curetober for everyone with a desire to create something inspired by one of the Cure's new songs that have debuted on this tour, or more than one if you want. And she wants to emphasize that it doesn't matter what you think your skill level is or what your art medium you work in is. All media is cool, including written words, sound collage, 2D, 3D, whatever you best express yourself in. It's a mutually supportive group that started with the Curetober on Instagram. So go check out hashtag Curetober 2022 if you want to see some examples. Look for the pinned posts on Kate's Instagram at Forget About Stars, or find her on our Facebook page at Cure Threads. And if you need more info, she's hoping for positive connections to be made between fans who love the Cure's music. And there's a deadline to commit to participating. I believe it's December 16th. But you know, no one's gonna yell at you if you turn it in late, apparently. So she just needs these deadlines for herself. So try to have it in by December 16th. Also, her website, CureThreads.com, if you want to check out some gifts for your favorite Cure fan or create your holiday wish list. She's also on Etsy, so check that out. And of course, 17-second shirts. That's where Chaz's website is, and he's cranking out all kinds of cool and unique Cure designs for you guys. So go to 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com to secure the latest pre-order, which I believe is still this really awesome Let's Go to Bed shirt. Don't miss out. All right, let's dive in. We're talking to John about his night in Leeds, seeing the Cure. All right, hello and welcome to the Holy Hour podcast. It's the bi-weekly All Cure podcast, and I'm very excited that we had a very last-minute invite and we're able to make this work. But we're welcoming back to the show John. How's it going, man?
Hey guys, it's going good. Yeah, thank you. I'm a bit sick, but I'm soldiering through.
Yeah, we're just comparing stories here. My raspy voice, and you're rebounding from illness and big night out too. So we were lucky enough to track you down and hear about your evening hot off the presses last night in Leeds, right?
Yeah, that's it. Leeds, the first direct arena.
Yeah, we got it.
So yeah, where should we start?
If you don't mind, I would love to hear your overall impression first of the night, and how did it all go? Was it a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb in the middle?
Oh, definitely a 2 thumbs up.
Awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, it's been I think this was my 4th time seeing The Cure. I've never seen them in the same place twice.
Excellent.
I've seen them up and down the country now, from Scotland to London down south, and Leeds is pretty much smack bang in the middle. Unfortunately, they decided not to do Manchester on this tour, I believe, because the last time, well, I was actually there last time, they weren't too happy with the crowd interaction, so
yeah,
kind of snuffed it off. So it was about an hour's extra drive for me, but I'm obviously battling through this cold, but it was definitely worth it.
awesome.
Say, there's kind of like a lot to unpack, really, isn't there? But
Yeah,
I just pretty much everything about the set and about the band and the performance was, I probably have to say, like 5 stars. Like the set list,
nice.
Definitely probably the best set list I've seen them perform. I got to hear Last Day Summer live for the first time. That was brilliant. Strange Day, that was a highlight as well.
Yeah,
At night, obviously, the encore, they decided to do a Disintegration heavy encore with Plain Song and Disintegration.
right on.
So it was a very doom and gloomy set, obviously, till right at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I guess before we really dive into the nitty gritty, then you said you traveled up. Then how did you drive up?
Yeah, I drove up. I drove up, picked my uncle up, and me and him drove straight into Leeds.
Nice. Do you go to Leeds much, or is it pretty rare?
No,
Yeah.
not really. There's not really much reason to go to Leeds. It's kind of obviously, you're from the States. I don't
Yeah.
really know what the comparison would be, but it's just kind of like this northern city, kind of in the Midlands around
Okay.
there. So no,
Yeah.
unless it's gigs and stuff, which usually I go to Manchester or even Liverpool if bands play Liverpool, but they for some reason never choose to.
Right on.
So I think it's a pretty just bog standard kind of city, really.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's got too much about it. It's definitely not London.
Right on.
I wouldn't compare it to Liverpool. Obviously, I've got a bias, but
Right on.
um,
So you
yeah,
didn't.
it's just kind of like your bog standard place to have an arena.
Right. Cool. So you didn't do much sightseeing beforehand or anything. Just went straight to the venue.
Yeah, we pretty much went straight to the venue. Obviously, I'll get into the venue myself, but
Yeah.
just for kind of a bit of context, we kind of got there for about just before 6 p.m. Um, and then we managed to grab bite to eat, go to the pub. And the reason I'm explaining this kind of is like, we walk in at about, must have been like, 20 to 7. Still got you may be able to see the pictures on the Instagram. I'll send you a few.
Okay.
Got pretty up close, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really good venue for that.
That's
The
cool.
standing area which we were in was like really small,
Nice.
like really small for an arena, and it's kind of like one of them Coliseum kind of arenas where it's all it's like a round circle,
Yeah.
obviously like stage like back middle, and then the seats kind of are like pointing towards the stage. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
kind of Roman Colosseum. So, it for an arena, it's quite a small venue.
Yeah.
For
And you,
arena. So it's really great to see a band like the Cure that are usually playing. Either in like packed up festivals or
yeah.
big arenas. It's great that even if you're in seated or right at the back, you're still getting a pretty close up view of the band. And
Yeah. That's cool.
what else was I going to say? Yeah, the stage seemed fairly small. Like they all seemed a bit kind of crammed on it a
Hmm.
little bit. I think when I've seen the band in the past, they're usually like well spread out.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, obviously with them being a six piece now, they were
Right.
kind of there didn't seem to be like too much space for them to like play around on, but obviously they're not exactly sprinting from one side to the other. So
Right.
it worked. It worked well, and especially for the songs and stuff. Like as I say, like most of the gigs I've ever been to in my life been in the arena in Manchester, and
Yeah.
I think that's like the largest arena in the UK. So
Okay.
it can feel a bit like what's the word? Doesn't feel very personal when you go to see bands there, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I can
huge. Um,
get that.
I've never noticed too much of a problem, but I think I'm not like the biggest kind of audio head,
Yeah.
but people often complain that the music sounds quite drowned out in that arena.
Okay.
Um, I think it sounded like stellar in Leeds. I think one thing which I kind of felt, I don't know if anyone else has ever picked up on this at Cure gigs.
Uh-huh.
Um, I kind of picked up on this a bit when I saw them in Glasgow in a big like open field
Uh-huh.
gig. Is the lead guitar always seems just a little bit too quiet with the Cure.
Okay.
Uh, Sometimes the songs are over and you're like, oh, did I just miss the solo to a night like this?
Right on. Huh.
I think that would be my only like little criticism, but the drums, you could hear them like bouncing from each end of the walls. You know what I mean? Like the
Right.
acoustic. It kind of had like that surround sound kind of feeling to it. So other than that slight nitpick about the lead guitar, I don't know if that's just a mixing problem or a creative choice from the band, but
Yeah. It's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, the sound was great. Like
Okay. Cool. Yeah, how was the crowd energy and stuff as it was building up before they even came out even, and was everybody seemed pretty cool and
a few funny stories.
yeah.
I think you get them at every gig. You always get these like
Right.
they'll squeeze up next to you, and you're like, oh god, oh,
Jesus.
here they
Yeah,
go, here we go.
yeah.
For the most part, like obviously, I think the Cure is a pretty civil crowd.
Right.
Obviously, you go to like a System of a Down concert, and the crowd just turns to an ocean, and you just get swept away.
Right.
Especially with this kind of set list and kind of the theme around this tour. Obviously, the crowd was more of the shoegazy kind of head bopping,
Yeah.
gentle sway kind of crowd. We had this obviously towards the back end of the set is kind of like when the band get really like lively and pop it up, with the walk and lullaby and all
Yeah.
that. And my uncle was there. He was getting into lullaby doing the do 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 do.
Uh-huh.
There was this guy in front of us who had earplugs in.
Uh-huh.
Already a bit of a red flag for me.
Right.
Like I don't care about getting tinnitus, mate.
Yeah.
But he turns around and he's like, "Do you mind being quiet? I'm trying to listen to the band."
Oh, jeez.
So we just I won't repeat what we said, but we used some colourful language back at
Yeah.
him, and then we just did it louder. And then the walk, I think the walk was the next song on. So it was
Yeah.
like, "Du, du, 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 du." And then he walked off. He stormed off. So
Yeah.
that was
Jeez.
funny. And there was a fight. Like I couldn't believe it. A fight at a Cure gig.
Whoa. Full.
Just was it right before the first encore? I think it was,
Oh,
or the
jeez.
second encore. Just because I didn't see what was going on, but I just saw the security just leaping over the gate and dragging a
Oh,
couple of
wow.
people out. It's like bloody hell, what's happened? Like the Cure gig.
Yeah, how do you get that
Oh yeah,
riled
and
up?
end song must have really riled them up. Like.
Yeah. Were they full on like swinging at each other and shit? Or?
As I say, I couldn't see, but you
Yeah,
could tell. You could tell there was definitely a disruption in the crowd. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like everyone was moving back, and the security were
Huh.
leaping over the fence and all that. So there was something went on. Like,
Yeesh. Yeah, so I guess everyone's still kind of figuring out how to be out in public again. Still.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I changed, didn't I?
Who knows? Yeah, I guess it was always that way,
Yeah.
huh?
We are. I am British, you know.
Yeah. You're hooligans. um,
Northern, so.
so yeah, it was I guess going back even before Twilight Sad, how was that? Did you catch
Oh,
them?
you know what? That was the first time seeing them. Funnily
Oh
enough,
yeah?
they pretty
Cool.
much support the band. Like almost every time like the last three times I've seen them, they've been support. And I think I've either just not got there in time and missed them. But this
hmm
is the first time seeing them.
Cool.
Really good, really impressed.
Yeah.
A lot younger than I thought they'd be.
Okay. Yeah.
I always had this impression in my mind that they were like the same age as the Cure. Like
Yeah.
I always kind of thought it was kind of like a friends situation. Like, but no, I was surprised. Quite like Joy Division meets like I don't know, like a bit of like Nine Inch Nails even.
Right on.
Bit of shoegaze thrown in. No, really good.
Cool.
Really
Yeah.
good band. Quite very impressed. You know.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And then the thunder and lightning, did that work good to like set the mood there before the Cure came out?
Oh yeah, the rain and that, and then opening with Alone.
Yeah.
I guess we can get into the new songs.
Yeah, what do you think? Are you on board with all the new jams?
Um, I did three of them like just off my phone,
Mm-hmm.
off concert footage, and then after that, I kind of decided I'm going to stop now because
Okay.
I want to hear them in their like best. I mean,
Nice.
to be honest with you, I'd rather hear them on the album, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. You know, Robert's decided to be Robert, so um, yeah, I think Alone's pretty good. It's kind of like your plain songy, kind of like spacey opener.
Yeah.
Um, Let me just pull the set list up so I can remember the songs.
Yeah.
Um, Nothing is Forever. That's like the really kind of nice, like dreamy piano
Yeah.
intro one. I really like that one. They all sounded like absolutely stunning.
Awesome.
By the way. Um, and then End Song. I think that's gonna be my favorite to be honest.
Yeah.
Like them guitars and stuff. Like I know it's like super long instrumental, and
Right,
then just
right.
like a few quick
Got the wah wah
verses
going
towards
and
the
the killer drums.
yeah. A Fragile Thing, I think, is probably the one I just didn't really take much away from at all, to be
Yeah.
honest. It sounded all right again live. I couldn't, hear Robert's lyrics word for word, but
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like he said, she said. I was like, oh,
Right, right.
this is kind of harkening back to kind of Blood Flowers, like
Yeah.
Um, to be honest, that's the one that's escaped my mind the quickest. I'll have to go back and listen to that one because I
Yeah,
really
that
don't
seems
remember
kind of
much
be
from
the
it, really.
general consensus from everyone is that we'll see how it is on
Yeah,
the album. I think it'll grow on me more.
yeah, but that's it.
So,
Yeah, and I Can Never Say Goodbye. That was a
yeah,
really haunting one. Like really kind of devastating.
yeah,
Um, it's kind of one of them. You kind of want to give this like respectful kind of um it's not a song to like hoot and holler at, and like I think during like a kind of quieter part of it, you just hear someone scream out for the crowd like
yeah,
"We love you, Simon." It's kind of like that's great, but a
yeah,
little inappropriate, a song like a tribute to his his lost brother, like.
yeah, for sure.
But you can't. It is what it is, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it would be a little weird being like, woohoo, yeah, like
Yeah,
after it's
yeah.
over, you're just kind of
I,
like, man, okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's something I forgot to mention as well. Just like being how like up close it was,
yeah,
just like kind of like how surreal it was to kind of see, um, like kind of like the band members' faces so up close.
yeah, I bet.
Robert's like see every facial expression, to see him kind of like stare into the crowd and pretty much being be an eyesight yourself.
Yeah, isn't
That
that
was like
crazy?
very surreal, you know.
Was this the closest you've been at a show? Or
Yeah, yeah. I think the first time I saw him, I was seated, so I was pretty far back, but it was a small venue.
uh
Second time was probably about in the kind of mm, not too far back, but not too close.
right.
I was pretty far back at Glasgow,
Okay.
but no, this was the closest, and as I say, it was purely down to how kind of kind of small that venue is,
Yeah.
which is really good for it. It's one of them. I hate kind of saying like, oh, he looked at me and he smiled at me, but I'm pretty convinced Roger did look and give me a smile
Give you a little,
at
yeah.
one
That's
point. It was kind of like it was like an awkward. It seemed like an awkward like couple of seconds of eye contact, and it was kind of like it's kind of like when you get a Christmas present, you gotta act like really really like infused about it. You know what I
right. Yeah.
mean?
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of like when he was looking at me, it was like I was kind of like shit. I need to look like because I was like dying of cold. I was
yeah.
like shit. I need to look like I'm really digging this, and I kind of like sort of nodded my head and
Yeah.
gave him like a little nod, and he cracked a smile. But again, you know, he could have been
Yeah.
looking at someone completely different, but it did seem like that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's it's crazy. Yeah, I've only had a
Yeah.
few like that where I was like, this is so, because you do lose a little being up close. You don't get to hear the better sound, maybe, but then it's totally worth it just to have those like you're saying, even if they don't lock onto you, it's you're seeing every little mannerism and every little reaction, and and facial expression is it's crazy. And then if they do just look and cut a gaze across at you or something, or lock eyes, that's like, ah, it's totally surreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess as far as the actual set too, you touched on a few of the rarer ones, like last day of summer. You said was the first time you had heard that live. You think?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool as hell.
I think
Like,
it was the first that. Let me just pull it back up again.
yeah, then you got cold in there too, right? Was it cold?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
cold. Yeah, yeah. That was definitely the first time hearing that as well.
awesome.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, I think besides that, I think at night, it's the first time hearing at night.
Okay, yeah,
Obviously all the new songs.
yeah,
Um, but other than that, no, the real stuff I've seen them do before. Obviously, I can't be too selfish, but you know,
yeah.
there were the odd songs I was kind of hoping for or a surprise. But I think this tour so far has been pretty kind of pretty predictable in patterns with just the odd
Yeah,
swap outs and stuff. So
I
you
guess
know,
if you're like been kind of studying them the way we have or something, have you been kind of looking at them each night and stuff, like the different set list and leading up to
yeah, and
this?
I follow a few accounts on Twitter who pretty much like live tweet
Yeah,
song by song, like you know.
yeah,
I think I've been following them since the tour started. Like, and at first it was like super like
yeah.
fascinating. Like, oh my god, they're playing this, they're playing that. Then each time it was just like filling up my feed, going like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Goodbye, the walk, Friday, I'm in love.
Totally. That's funny. Yeah, something we've noticed and just things I remember from past shows I've seen where there's always like one in particular that seems to hit a little harder and unexpected than you would think. Maybe even not even a particularly rare song, but sometimes. Did you feel like there was one that really hit the hardest for you in the set?
To be honest, I'd probably say End Song because like when I
Yeah,
heard that on my phone, I just kind of like nodded my head and said, yeah, that sounds good.
right.
But like hearing it live had a much higher like emotional impact for me, I think.
Okay, cool.
Um, I think A Strange Day, that was like one of my favorite songs when I was younger.
Yeah,
Especially that kind of breakdown, that guitar solo. Um,
yeah, things
Last
awesome.
Day of Summer. Just them coming on the stage again, and like
Yeah,
I know it's only been like 3 years, but you know, I think you know, I've got quite a few bands that I consider like my top favorite bands.
right.
Obviously, you know that rush of excitement comes when you see them walk on the stage, but I think for the Cure, it's always just going to hit different for me.
Yeah.
Um, they've just been like such like an impactful band on my life and growing up, and you know that there's a reason why they're so like well regarded to
Mm-hmm.
this day. And you go to a Cure gig, and the age differences are so like diverse.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why bands like the Cure have like thrived, and other bands from that time period have kind of like withered away a bit.
Right.
Um, you know, I think there's always been a sense of kind of not to get too soppy, but
Nah.
I think there's always been like a magical kind of element to the band, like the Cure.
Yeah.
So it does feel surreal when you're actually in like the same building as them. Uh,
Right.
yeah, and these, you know, Robert Smith, who's this like silhouette, you know, recognized by silhouette. He's almost like a fictional character, So
Yeah.
to actually see him walk on stage and you know see how he's done his hair and where his he's put his ponytail in the back, and
Right.
it really is like a wild experience.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. That's awesome. Yeah, and there's
yeah,
such like a just a level of, a lot of it is self-created by them and such, in the sense that it really is, you feel like you're getting a bonus time every time you do see them at this point now, just because of their age in particular. But at the same time, you know what I mean? You just never know. And there was something really kind of special, I think, about that, where you're like, this could be the
yeah,
last time. Wow, I'm so lucky that I'm getting to see this again, and and
yeah.
it's like, there's
I
plenty
think
of
the
bands
work they
out
put
there
in
like
it as
that.
well just goes to show, because I went to see another one of my favorite bands just a couple of weeks ago, Placebo.
Mm-hmm.
I love Placebo, but I went to see him, and it was obviously they've got a new album out. It was 11 songs off the new album.
Yeah.
Um, not much in between besides newer stuff. And I kind of walked away from it saying that was an enjoyable gig, but I was kind of left a bit like
Yeah.
still with that appetite. You know what I mean? I think just how the Cure give us like these 27 to 28 long set lists,
Right.
sometimes longer, and you just know they're putting like so much work into it and so much thought's gone into the set list, and now there's such like no album seems to be like left behind
Mm-hmm.
apart from a certain one from 2004, which I'm not complaining about.
Yeah.
Um, oh, there's nothing off. I don't think they've played any 413 even, have they, on this tour?
Hungry Ghost, they did. Yeah, oddly the
Oh, have the yeah, I didn't.
yeah, Hungry
Yeah,
Ghost. Oddly enough, the only one is Three Imaginary Boys. They haven't done anything off of. Technically, Boys Don't Cry, but that, technically, it's not on that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it's weird that one, they've managed to not play. Like 10-15 or Three Imaginary Boys, Grinding Halt, any of the Fire in Cairo, even, it's fairly common. But I don't know. Maybe they're
yeah.
killing an Arab. Even they haven't done that. So maybe they're saving that for the finale of. So I guess along those lines, are you going to see any of the Wembley ones or anything, or is this the one for you?
No, that's me done.
Yeah,
I haven't got the finances
yeah,
for
the
multiple gigs,
final
unfortunately.
stretch. And
I'm hoping. Obviously, I think something's gone awry on this schedule, hasn't it? I think
mm-hmm.
we were obviously meant to have an album in our hands by now.
Yeah,
Obviously they couldn't cancel the tour or postpone the tour,
yeah,
so the show must go on.
yeah, yeah,
But I would like him to come back once the album's out and do another quick UK leg, even if it
yeah.
was just like one show at Wembley or something. You know, I'd definitely be up for going for that.
Yeah, that would be cool. Seems likely, but who the hell knows at this point? There's so many. Do you think they have any other tricks up their sleeve for the last three shows, or are they pretty much just gonna do like every combo of these songs we've seen for the last three?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it, does it? Because like when I say I've been checking the set list, but I've kind of dipped out of it a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
feel like we've
it
seen
kind of
every
seems like it
combo at
started
this
off
point.
with all these wild, no pun
Right.
intended, these wild kind of surprises where one night will be like Wish focused, the other night be like pornography focused.
Yeah, yeah,
And then kind of after a few weeks, I think a pattern emerged, didn't it? And you're like, right, it's kind of one of three sets you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really think they've pulled anything out like just halfway through the tour. Have they just completely out the blue?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it
Um,
kind of stopped about midway, even with they would, I think maybe like Let's Go to Bed was the last one that they brought in like November. But
yeah,
they only played that for like three shows, and yeah, so there hasn't been too many. But at the same time, they really don't technically need to. But at this, you just wonder, like are they gonna do
it's
like
one.
something?
Yeah, it's one of them. Like I say, like going back to Placebo, like that their set list is their set list for the whole tour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I checked it regularly, and it was the exact same set list.
Yeah,
And sometimes you're a bit like, oh, I'd like to walk into a surprise. I'd like to know. I'd like there
yeah.
to be like some sort of element of,
At least
oh
shuffle
no,
it.
I've been pulled
Yeah.
this one out. But at the same time, when bands change the set list so frequently, you get FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I don't want to get the night where they play. Let's go to bed instead of
Right.
show. But sometimes,
Yeah, it becomes
to be honest, I would have loved to have heard Apart and Trust
yeah.
maybe over some of the Disintegration tracks just because I have heard them before.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's one and have it. It's like complaining about winning 1 million instead of 2 million. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You've still got a million.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I would say most likely they're probably just gonna shuffle them for the last three nights and maybe do some kind of mega encore for the last batch or something. But yeah, I don't see them doing like the out of nowhere whole Wish tribute one night or something like that, But I think
Yeah.
just
Funnily enough, I've just pulled up tonight's set list
uh,
live while we're doing it.
yeah. How's it looking?
They've played three Imaginary Boys tonight.
Oh shit, for real. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and only tonight we could sleep as well. Oh,
Oh
right,
wow.
right. They have been mixing it up a bit tonight.
Oh boy.
Should have
Yeah.
gone to Birmingham.
That's like damn it. Like you said, it's always
They're
then
still halfway in. I think
like,
they're still on burn at the moment. There's still another like hour to go. But
yeah, looks
yeah,
like it.
that's interesting.
That's funny. Yeah, I guess they got three imaginary boys. They must have heard us talking just now. They're gonna be do the whole self-titled encore now. They're gonna do a
To be honest, I'm glad I didn't go to that one.
Nah, yeah, I think that's the one nobody's really calling out. So yeah, I guess as far as the comparison, then in the as it's all said and done, where do you feel like it ranks with other Cure shows you've seen? How does it
I
compare?
think at now with it being fresh, I'd say number one. Maybe in time it might slip. I don't know because there's only the first time was very special because it was the first time seeing them.
Yeah,
I travelled out for it. I was quite young. Um, Only played 40 songs,
yeah.
um, including songs that had never been played before.
Oh,
Like what was it now? One of the B-sides off the Top Era or something like that. A Man in My Mouth. I think it was A Man in My Mouth or something like that.
cool.
So that was really special. 2016 was probably the lowest just because of kind of the incident of kind of what happened around that. Now they kind of ended the set about 5 songs too short.
Right, the Manchester
Um,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and obviously Robert wasn't happy about that, which
right.
kind of upsets me a bit.
Yeah,
The Glasgow one, I think that's a competitor for like joint first place because it was like it was like kind of like a trip away for it.
yeah,
Um, it was basically like, it was a festival, but obviously it was like just a one day
right.
that I went to. Um, that was very special.
Yeah,
But this one, I think the set was stellar, and it was all kind of pretty consistent as well,
yeah,
kind of like with its theme. Obviously, it kind of just goes into the greatest hits on the second encore, but that's fine. Getting to hear new songs for the first time ever, obviously, because um, I haven't seen them before 2008. So this is the first time new material on a tour.
yeah,
So that's quite exciting.
yeah.
So I'm gonna say number one for now, but it could always change.
Still buzzing from it pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool, man. So yeah, how did the band seem on stage though, and everything? Did it seem like their chemistry and just they seemed pretty cool and no weirdness there? Everybody's tight and
Robert seemed, I think this was probably like the chattiest I've kind of ever
yeah,
I've ever seen him.
cool.
Pretty much straight after the first song, he was chatting. Obviously, it's a bit hard to understand sometimes, but
Yeah,
he brought up. He mentioned a couple of times. He kind of called it his psychic Bob's psychic Friday night disco.
nice.
He referred to the gig like that a few times. He said obviously he hadn't played Leeds in a decade.
Oh
I think he
wow.
said that.
Huh.
During the second encore, he said, "This is a new song," and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're getting a new song." And he said, "This new song's called Tuesday's Grey," and then went into Friday I'm in Love, which is
Ah.
pretty funny. um, so yeah, he was pretty chatty. Simon seemed to be giving it the beans. Again, he looked a little. I don't know if it's just him deep in concentration or anything, but he looked. I don't know, like there wasn't like he wasn't exactly smiling ear to ear,
Yeah.
but I guess that's just his kind of sometimes you just kind of concentrate on something and
Yeah, he gets in the
that's kind of
zone
like the
there.
face you pull, yeah. Reeves looked like he was enjoying himself. I was kind of like too far away to see much of Perry.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of too far away from him. I was kind of like right in front of Roger, and
Okay.
he looked like he was into it. Obviously, there's a couple of songs where he just sits back a bit, so
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, it seems like at this point in the tour too, they got to be getting pretty comfortable and they can do this in their sleep at this point probably, so that's cool that they still gave good energy and everything, so
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, I guess hearing those new songs, then does that make you even more psyched for the new album if we dare go down that road?
I just want to own this new album so badly.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got a shirt at the gig, courtesy of my uncle. Bet
Okay,
on, we
yeah,
put bet on
cool.
back in. Oh,
Yeah, you
it's
said you had the
we
bet,
we
right?
we put this bet on.
Uh-huh.
He was convinced the album would be out. I was convinced it wouldn't. The album's not been out. He got me a shirt.
Nice, yeah, I remember you
um,
saying
it
that.
was oh yeah, it was this leading. Oh yeah, to the anticipation of the new album. Sorry, get back on track. So obviously, like we were talking about it, and like I think my uncle's not really like been kept up in the news as much, but I was kind of saying to him, I was saying like they've been saying. I said I don't know how long an album takes to finish because it's been in the finishing stages for years,
Yeah.
and like it's like how what's going on with this album. Part of me just thinks it's obviously perfectionism.
Yeah, it's gotta
You
be
want to
on a
get it
certain.
right,
Yeah.
especially if these songs kind of mean a lot to Robert. With a lot of as I say, like I don't know the lyrics word for word, but you pick up on the word end
Yeah.
quite often in each of these songs, which I think can have like multiple implications.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously, I think he wants to get this album right. But if I'm to crack a theory, this is my theory.
Hmm.
So obviously, they wanted this album to be out before this tour, and it's not out. I can't imagine him announcing rest of the world dates
Until it's out.
without announcing an album release date.
Yeah.
I think once this tour's over, that gives him a nice little Christmas break. Get back in the studio at the beginning of the year, finish this album, get it out and tour it properly. That's kind of my
Yeah.
theory, and I'm kind of hoping to see the album by about May next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my wishful thinking.
That sounds good. That's kind of where I am too. I was always kind of leaning towards they love their April and May release anyway, historically. So hopefully it's on track for that still. And yeah, like you said, he'll have time to kind of do the final touches here. And it's a little weird with the how far in advance they would have to announce everything for the rest of the world. So I'm starting to get a little worried on that. But I mean, I guess it could be
It
You
could be
know,
winter again, couldn't it?
yeah, it
Yeah, it
could
could
be
be
like
winter
another.
2023.
As much as I don't want to wait that long, it makes sense and would be understandable. If we have the album, that'll at least tie us over for a while. So
Yeah.
who knows? But yeah, it's interesting stuff. Maybe he just knows it is the last album, so he's dragging his feet because he doesn't want it to end either. Maybe he's like,
Yeah,
what
you
have I
could say
done? I
that.
made the ending
Yeah.
now. I don't want it to end. So so. I guess kind of off topic, but have you got your Wish reissues or any of that? I'm still.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on the picture disc, but I went on a little weekend trip away, a little
Mhm.
city break somewhere in there's a really old city in England
Okay.
called York. I got the album there.
Okay.
Um, I'm losing it now.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, so yeah, I picked the album up, got home, played it, and like, oh my God, like the difference is truly like night and day.
Yeah.
I think I said previously, I'm not the best like kind of like audiophile.
Right. Right.
Don't like pick up on all these things that like people go on about as much, but it sounded so clearer.
Nice.
Um, I think the original mix of Wish is a little muddy, so
Yeah.
no, I was ready. I'm very impressed with it. Yeah,
Awesome.
and I can finally retire my original
Yeah. You could just
copy I've got of it.
you could just keep it there for your financial retirement or whatever, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Yeah, we ordered ours. It still hasn't showed up, so I'm
Oh, is
still
it not?
still
No,
waiting.
no.
And yeah, I think our whole crew hasn't gotten ours yet. So
I like that.
um,
Is there no like kind of record shop near you that you can just?
they had
'Cause
the
I
picture
went into a
disc. Yeah,
HMV, which is like a kind of like a music chain
yeah.
in Britain. Like,
No, they haven't had it that I'm aware of at the record shop. I think they had the picture disc on Black Friday or whatever. So I
yeah,
think Chaz and Antonio got it the picture disc, but yeah, I mean I didn't want to buy a damn picture disc when I already ordered the regular one.
yeah, because he delayed it, didn't he? Wasn't it meant to come out in October?
Yeah, I think so initially, and
You know who might have been behind that? Taylor Swift.
you think she's
She released like 12 variants on vinyl of an album, didn't she?
yeah,
And
that just
I
pushed
did hear
everything.
that it did cause some like record production
Oh,
to
jeez,
be held back. So
great.
that could have been their fault. That
Thanks, Taylor.
I mean, it's a good album, Midnight's like, but
Oh well. Cool, man. Well, I'll let you go since both our voices are failing us at this point. I think
yeah,
we're falling
I'm
apart
off to
here.
bed. It's just mid-afternoon for you, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the evening there, and it's always great. I felt like got to tag along in some form or another now, so thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll be the one missing out in a year or two when they're on the other side of the world.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted for sure.
When we decide to put a letter to Elise in the set, then I'll fume.
Yeah, who knows? I guess anything's possible with these guys, so that's cool. But yeah, I'm glad you had a great show though. It really did look like an amazing set, and I'm glad it all panned out as far as performance and the general crowd, and nobody got in a fight with you or anything. So
I was all right.
you're ready for them, huh?
Yeah, some dickhead with earplugs in. You
Yeah.
might listen to the show if you are. Sorry.
Yeah.
He got upset, but no, I was fine.
Good. Awesome, man. And yeah, we'll love to have you back on another time soon, hopefully in the new year. So
Yeah, I'll have a think. I always come up with these little gimmicks, don't I? So
hey, so thanks
I'll
for
have a think.
all the support all these years. We appreciate it, man. So thanks for helping
Yeah,
out.
no, it's been great being on.
Cool. All right, well, I'll let you go and all the people out there. So we'll say talk hard and catch you soon, John.
All right, see ya. Bye.
All right, again, a very big thank you to John. Thanks for toughing it out with me there as we talk through A Night in Leeds. And while I have you guys here and we're catching up in real time, we figured we'd go over these last two shows too, leading up to Wembley. As you can hear, I'm feeling a little better, but we had a bit of a scare there, didn't we? Yep. As John and I were talking, we were checking on the set list of Wednesday night's show, December 7th in Birmingham. And we thought, we were hoping the big news of that show was going to be the debut of Three Imaginary Boys, finally representing a song off the first album. But sadly, the debut of that song on this tour got overshadowed by the fact that somehow, between going backstage and coming back out for the pop encore, Robert's voice totally turned to shit too. And due to a cold as well, as he was dubbing the McFlu that he got up in Scotland. And yeah, he struggled through the last part of that show, and it was a bit rough. So I hunted down a full show bootleg of the video on YouTube and tried to get a good idea of how bad he was hurting and what, and even recorded a whole segment on where I thought his voice dropped off, how it started out strong on a few, and then the crowd would come in and save him. But more importantly, as I was trying to pack up this episode and get it ready to post, I got an email from Luke, and apparently Luke was at the Birmingham show and wrote us a cool review. So instead of all that jibber jabber, I'll insert what Luke's perception was of the Birmingham show, because he was actually there. So Luke wrote and said, I attended the Birmingham gig with my wife and 2 kids who are 8 and 11 years old, and were by far the youngest people in the audience as far as I could see. Starting them into the Cure young, eh? The crowd was generally much older than I expected, with the over 50s heavy in attendance and not quite as many teenagers that I had heard about on some of the other European shows. Entering the arena, we were met by the sound of a rainstorm immediately, setting the tone of what was to come. As the house lights dimmed and the thunder roared around the vast auditorium, it was almost as ominous metaphor for what would transpire toward the end of the show that night. The crowd roared as the band took the stage, and as the first chords of Alone rang out, I felt a strange sense of coming home, being back in the presence of the band I have followed and loved listening to for almost 40 years, most of my life, in fact. The first few songs were brilliant, of course. Alone is my favorite of the new songs. I felt quite emotional watching Robert pour his soul into this performance and delivering a truly emotional and powerful rendition of the opening song. On we went through Pictures of You, A Night Like This, and Love Song, and we passed And Nothing Is Forever. It became apparent that Robert's voice was perhaps not as powerful as one might have expected. Sure enough, a couple of songs later, Robert announced to the crowd that he was fighting an illness, but would press on regardless. While such an announcement might have allowed disappointment to run riot through the audience, there was none apparent, and the band continued with the set. A surprise tour debut from Three Imaginary Boys was followed by some other personal favorites of mine, A Strange Day, Shake Dog Shake, all of which had the crowd transfixed. Then, followed by a blistering rendition of Burn, which truly set the evening alight, the camera fixed on Jason as he hammered the drum part out during the song was fantastic to watch, and particularly being a keen drummer myself. As the main set approached its conclusion, it was clear that Robert was really struggling with his voice. As they played From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, it was clear that Robert was transposing his vocal part to the lower registers, replacing the higher notes with more manageable ones, giving his failing voice. Following End Song, the epic 17-song first set was finally over, and I felt a sense of fear that the band might even call it a day at that point. After a few minutes, however, they returned to a rapturous applause, with Robert leading the way. He made some quip about Simon playing the drums from then on, although his words were getting increasingly hard to make out by that point. The band powered through the first encore, starting with I Can Never Say Goodbye, and followed by Cold and then Charlotte Sometimes, another one of my all-time favorites. And the first encore closed with a rampaging version of a chorus, with Simon and Robert dueling towards the end, as if a seemingly endless musical game of who will quit first was going on. With the end of the first encore, it would be fair to say that there was not a great deal left of Robert's voice for the second pop encore, but keeping true to thousands of fans who had made their trip to Birmingham, the band returned for the final section of the show. As they romped through the standard Magnificent Seven, the crowd largely took over singing duties for Robert, particularly notable in Between Days and, of course, Friday I'm in Love, before finally reaching a triumphant conclusion with Boys Don't Cry. Sadly, the show was over, as was Robert's voice for the night. The band departed the stage with Robert doing his customary wandering across the stage, thanking each area of the crowd in turn. He even stopped to apologize for his voice failing him, although I don't think many of those real Cure fans present would have really minded. The band had just produced a powerful, emotional inferno of performance that mixed the new songs with many classics, as well as a deeper cut and even a tour debut. The evening was amazing and every bit as good as I'd hoped it would be. Yes, it would have been nice if Robert had felt better, but just being there was enough for me. Although the crowd was a bit lacking in involvement in parts, no phone torches for I Can Never Say Goodbye, and no double overhead claps during a finale of a chorus, the atmosphere was generally good, if not a little suppressed at times. I think the crowd on a whole felt truly sorry for Robert. He was visibly frustrated that he couldn't deliver the performance that he wanted to, but he gave as much as he possibly could, and then some, in order to satisfy the adoring fans on the night. All in all, the Birmingham show was a wonderful experience, and one that I will be lucky enough to enjoy all over again in Wembley Arena, a venue that I was last at in December 2016 for the last night of The Cure's final show of that year's world tour. I know it'll be another fantastic performance, and I simply can't wait. All right, Luke, thank you so much for writing and giving us a first-hand account of what it was like being on the ground level there in Birmingham and seeing how this show unfolded. Something we've been kind of worried about this whole time, whether it be COVID or just regular illness. It's a long stretch of dates they've been doing and just battling through this. Like I said, 9 out of 10 bands or performers would have, just packed that in as soon as they saw signs of trouble, and would have definitely just canceled the next night and given himself 3 days to rest up instead of the 2 before the 3-night finale in London. But nope, the show must go on for Robert and gang. He come this far, he wasn't going to throw in the towel now. He must have heard his dad's old voice saying, "Now, Robert, you know people have saved up their hard-earned money, and many have traveled long distances for this show. You must honor your commitments, son." And he sure as hell did. So onward, Thursday night to Cardiff in Wales, and this was December 8th, Thursday night. Up until the last second, I think we're all refreshing our phones wondering, is he gonna pull the plug on this? Is this gonna happen? And everything rolled out to plan, though. And even looking at the set list as it was unfolding, it really didn't seem noticeably different from anything they've been doing the whole time. I was kind of expecting like a weirder rearrangement of the set and the songs to best suit his vocal limits or what he was feeling that would be easiest on his voice that night. But everything seemed pretty much where it always has been, and he just tackled it head on still and was sounding great. At night was played 4th, which seemed a little earlier, but I can't really think that would change much. Song-wise, they got a lot of the standards at this point from the shows on this tour. They got some nice gems in Close Down and Last Day of Summer and Strange Day. On Burn, he sounded great, of course, but you could tell he wasn't really doing the pushing freak-out ending where he's screaming it at the end like he has been. So he was kind of holding off a bit, but, few parts you could tell he was walking a bit cautiously, as to be expected, but still sounded great based on the clips I saw anyway. And yeah, even all the way up to Encore 1, we stuck to the plan. I Could Never Say Goodbye, Let It Off, and then followed by Trust and Faith. So on a night that we possibly weren't even going to have, they ended up getting Trust and Faith. How fucking cool is that? So still giving the fans little nuggets of joy. And sounded good on those. Chris White had posted a live clip of those two songs, so that was cool. That I caught it right after he'd posted it, so almost in real time to check in on Robert. And you could tell he sounded a little, maybe not 100% Robert, but still sounded pretty damn good to me. And was happy to hear that that lovely Robert voice is still in there. I later found some more scattered YouTube clips, especially of the pop encore, because it was getting later in the set. Those are, up there, harder to sing in a sense. But he still sounded much, much better than the night before. And I think everybody got their legit amazing Cure show experience, even if it did sound a little rougher around the edges. The man is not of this world, I tell you. So don't know how the hell he does it, but God bless him. And I know there's a lot of super thankful fans out there that made it to that show, and we're super happy that they continued on and were able to stick to the schedule and the plan. And I'm sure the Cure were super happy that they were able to stick to the plan, and they've come this far. Like I said, they really didn't want to have to throw in the towel and cancel one at the end and lead up to drama on these last 3 nights. So most importantly now, they've got 2 days to rest. They've had 2 days to rest based on when I post this. Hopefully he'll be ready to fucking slay it in London. Night 1 of the 3-show finale at Wembley Arena. And yeah, hopefully they can just finish up as smooth as they've been this whole time. Will his voice be in top form? I don't know. Will they pull out any new surprise songs even? Try something daring? Who knows? Or will Robert even just spontaneously combust at this point? It's the last show of the tour, and his particles ascend up into the heavens. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I just hope that they get the ending that they want, and the fans get the full Cure experience, and everybody that's traveling to those shows, because I know a lot of people definitely had that one on their scope, is if I'm going to go to one, it's going to be that final Cure show. So whatever night it may be, I hope they're all powerful, and you guys have a blast, and everybody makes it out in one piece. So we're going to recap those last 3 shows. Who knows what's going to happen? So we're going to recap them, of course, and along with everything that's happened in the world of The Cure on our next and final episode of 2022. Yes, it's the end of the year celebration episode. Chaz, Antonio, and myself, we're going to hash it out. These last 3 Wembley shows. We're going to hash out everything that's happened with The Cure and the Holy Hour podcast, all the highlights, the lowlights, if there were any. And maybe we'll even do a little speculating on what is to come for all of us in 2023. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the podcast, and you'll get it as soon as it's delivered. Follow us on Instagram at the Holy Hour Podcast, and the Facebook page, of course. You can write me directly at gavinconnor@gmail.com if you have any questions. And thank you so much to John for walking us through Leeds, and thank you so much to Luke for giving us first-hand account of what happened in Birmingham. And of course, thanks again to Robert and company for keeping that final Cardiff show on plan and making so many people happy and sounding great. And yeah, let's see how this thing wraps up. It's been a wild couple of months for sure. So I swear I'll be completely healed hopefully by that point too. I sound a little better here myself, I think, hopefully. I swear we didn't spread our colds to Robert. There's no way. I've done my part. I've kept my distance. John he may have given Robert his cold, so sorry. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Talk hard.